Good morning. So on Monday's show, I made a comment, and this is what I love about doing this show. Monday's show was a fairly long show, and it was political. It was about Trump and people who voted for Trump, and during which I made this off-the-cuff comment about why I voted for Hillary Clinton. And I mentioned, of course, women's right to choose whether they become parents or not, their reproductive rights with Roe v. Wade, and I mentioned marriage equality and gay rights and the LGBT community, and that I support that. And that one comment, which was not even the main gist of the show, got a comment that kind of turned the show into a sub-show, which I love. I love that. That comment that I made was commented on by a viewer. And his comment started a debate. And his comment was saddening to me and disappointing. But again, as I always say, everyone is welcome to this table, to the Political Paula Show. And I respect his right to share his beliefs and his opinions with us. But I did feel that those comments deserved a show of their own. And I'm going to paraphrase it because we're going to go through the comments that were made by this person. And again, it's not only this person. And that's the other thing I want to make clear. One person saying something like this is one thing, because everybody believes differently and they have that right. But these are comments that I have heard from many people over the past, I would say, 10 to 15 years. I have been writing and talking about the LGBT community and the rights that they should have. They should enjoy, just as my husband and I enjoy those rights. So the comment was basically saying that people in the LGBT community are deviant. They are pedophiles. They should not raise children or be around children because that will mean they are creating more gay people. And then the next comment was that they are asking for special treatment, the LGBTQ community. So let's go through some of this. First of all, the easiest one to put to rest is the pedophile one. The true profile of a pedophile is a middle-aged, white man, heterosexual, straight man, and many pedophiles are actually married with children of their own. And then the Catholic priests. Sorry, it's the stats. It's true. So, are there gay people who are pedophiles? Probably. But one gay person or two gay people or 12 gay people who are pedophiles doesn't mean that every gay person is a pedophile. Just like because the majority of pedophiles are middle-aged, straight, married, white fathers or Catholic priests, that doesn't mean that every Catholic priest or every middle-aged, straight, white dude who has a wife and children is a pedophile. You can't paint that broad brush. Just like if one Christian blows up an abortion clinic, it doesn't mean that every Christian is a violent criminal or a sick person who wants to blow up innocent people in the name of their God. Same thing with the Islamic fanatics who commit terror. Not all Islamic people are terrorists. We try to say that on this show a lot. And it's the truth. You know, a lot of women who have breast cancer drink milk. Milk does not cause breast cancer. Okay, so let's just make that very clear that's not even close to being the truth. That being gay makes you a pedophile. That isn't true. So we took care of that one. Now, as far as the special treatment goes, marriage? Really? That's special treatment. Wanting to get married to someone who you love and want to spend the rest of your life with and build a life with. To me, that's not asking for special treatment. And if you talk about redefining marriage, let's talk about who really tried to redefine marriage. Because I watched the Supreme Court arguments. I watched the religious right lawyers who were truly redefining marriage. In fact, they were redefining my marriage to my husband, who is a man. The lawyer for the religious right, fighting against equality in marriage, made the comment to redefine marriage as between a man and a woman for the procreation of children. Well, that would make my marriage invalid. Because the day my husband and I got married, we had no intention, nor did we ever intend to have children. In fact, we spent a lot of money to not have children. We discussed that before we even started living together. Another sin. That we were not going to have children. I did not want to become pregnant and have children. And we agreed on that. So by doing that in the Supreme Court, and thank God for the Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, remember her name, because she had the best question of the day. She asked this religious right lawyer, well, if a 65-year-old man marries a 60-year-old woman, there's probably not going to be a lot of babies coming out of that marriage. Does that make their marriage invalid then? The way you are asking me and this court to define marriage now, in order to stop a certain group of people, one group of people, from getting married? You want to shit on other people's marriages? And that's why the marriage equality law passed. And it also passed for another reason. And it's called fairness. It's called equality. It's not special treatment. To when your person, the person you love with all of your heart, gets sick and goes to the hospital and a doctor says, I can't talk to you. You have no right to visit this person because you're not the next of kin. You're not a spouse. That's what gay people faced every time their loved one was in the hospital or got sick. The doctors were not allowed to talk to them. And in some cases, they were not allowed to visit their loved one, their partner in life. The person they shared a home with, experiences with, worked hard with. They weren't allowed to visit them in the hospital because it was family only. Doctors could not share medical information with the person's most closest personal loved one because they weren't married. I didn't say that. I didn't write that. But it's how the people in the LGBTQ community were treated. Now, I'm sorry, that's not special treatment. When the person who you share your home with, your bed with, every waking minute with, gets to go to the hospital, and you expect the doctors to tell you how they're doing, what treatment they need. That isn't special treatment. That's equal treatment. Because if my husband goes to the hospital, the doctors will talk to me. I will be the one in that room, supporting him and caring for him. That's what the Marriage Equality Act was about. It was also about money. Inheritance taxes. Now, again, I didn't write them. I didn't make them up. But it's the truth. And part of that Marriage Equality Act involved a woman who was with her partner for 30 years. And when her partner died, because they were not married, she got a bill from the federal government for $330,000 for property that she helped to pay for, to build in 30 years, because she was not the spouse. She was not legally related to her partner in any way that she could inherit without paying that outrageous tax bill. That's not special treatment. And let me tell you this, I also didn't write that law. But the only relationship the government recognizes as tax exempt with inheritance tax is a legal marriage. My mother died. I had to pay inheritance tax on her estate as her daughter. If I had brothers and sisters and they left me money or I was part of their estate, I would be paying taxes on their estate. The only relationship the government sees as sacrosanct and tax exempt when one dies is legal marriage, a legal spouse. We are the only ones who get tax exemption with inheritance tax. Now, I don't like inheritance taxes. I think they're illegal. And I'm not the one who said only married couples would not have to pay inheritance tax, but that's the truth. So again, special treatment? I don't think so. Because when you build a life together for years and decades, and your partner who you built that life together, you worked together to build that life through good times, through bad times, and your beloved partner dies, you should not get an inheritance tax bill for property that you helped to build. And guess who decides how much inheritance tax you pay? Not you. You don't say, well, this is worth this and this is... No, they send people in from the government to tell you what your books are worth, what your clothes are worth. If I was not married to my husband and he died, someone would come into this house right now and they would look at this CD and they would say, okay, this is worth $10. I've got 200 of these in this house. This house that my husband and I share. If we weren't married, I would be paying inheritance tax on the value of 200 of these CDs. Every piece of paper, every computer, every television, the carpet. I'm sorry, that's not special treatment. When two women or two men who have lived together for decades, shared a life, built a life, loved one another, supported one another in good times and bad, and they have their property picked through by strangers, and a value put on it, and then they get a bill from the government. Marriage equality stopped that. That's not special treatment. It's definitely not. And by the way, redefining marriage as procreation for children, well, you've shit on a lot of marriages right now, if that had passed. A lot of people out there can't have their own children for medical reasons. And then when we come to the fact that gay people should not be raising children because they can't make them, well, now you're shitting on people who have adopted children. Heterosexual couples who can't have children of their own, who adopt a child. Well, they didn't make the child, so obviously they can't raise the child. See, this is what discrimination does. When you discriminate against one group of people, you end up shitting on a lot of other people that aren't even in that group that you're really wanting to stop from doing what you don't like that they're doing. You discriminate against, you shit on other people. You shit on my marriage. You shit on my beautiful cousins who adopted a beautiful little girl. They didn't make her, but boy, they sure as hell love the shit out of her. They love her to death. And they're raising her in a good home. But when you say that if you didn't make the baby, you don't have a right to raise a baby, that shits on them. And let's remember that. Remember, when you discriminate against anyone, anywhere, it opens the door to discriminate against everyone, everywhere. Special treatment. Wow. So, let's go back to the 60s and the 50s. And we're going to talk about sex here. So if talking about sex makes you uncomfortable, you can push the button right now. But we have to talk about sex because this is part of the deviant part that a lot of people talk about when they talk about the LGBTQ community. About 60 or during the civil rights movement, do you know that it was illegal for a black man to marry a white woman or a white woman to marry a black man? And it was thought at the time that an interracial couple was not up to raising children. They should not be allowed to raise children in an interracial marriage. That was how people felt back then. Now that sounds familiar, doesn't it? And in fact, you could lose your life. They made it a criminal offense for a black man and a white woman to get together and vice versa. And the woman was either labeled a rape victim or a whore or defiled in some way. And the black man could lose his life or go to prison. Scary times. Simply because one was black and one was white. It was illegal. And in some states today, I believe, anal sex, sodomy, is also illegal. And back when it was first made illegal, it was made illegal for one purpose: to allow the government to arrest a gay couple for having sex and put them in jail. That is the only reason that sodomy was made illegal. But now we have to remember what happens when the normal people start enjoying something, and then it changed a little bit. Because see, here's the thing. If you ever saw porn, and I know us as adults, most of us have probably seen porn. Guess what the most popular form of porn is? Well, there's two actually. One is girl on girl. So these right-wing Bible thumper guys, they go to church in the morning and then they spend Sunday afternoon on their computer watching girl on girl porn because they love it. And the other most popular form of porn is, you got it, a guy doing it with a girl anally, up the ass. Fucking a girl up her ass. Yep, I said it. It's the most popular form of porn. It is the biggest male fantasy. Men fantasize. Their biggest fantasy is, oh, please let me stick it in that other hole. 50 Shades of Grey is the most popular book in history. And it is about the S&M community. A girl lets herself be tied up willingly, gets beaten, gets whipped, gets her blindfold on, her gag on, gets tied up, gets hung upside down, all kinds of stuff going on that some people might call deviant. Some gay people even say, oh, no way. I mean, I'm not going to beat my partner. No, I'm not going to beat my wife. But some people enjoy that. And that book is the most popular book in our history. And the movies are outrageously popular. And we need to ask why. Why, if we have this group of people saying this is deviant behavior, is it the most popular thing and everybody's reading it? Everybody's seeing the movies. So see, here we go. It's deviant if two men do it, but if a man and a woman do it, then it's the hottest thing ever. Most men fantasize about it. Men pay hookers. Married men pay hookers because their wives are like, oh, no, 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 I'm not doing that. They'll pay a hooker to do it. That's how important it is. It's this fantasy. It's supposed to be awesome for the guy. Now, again, I'm being very open here because we have to have this discussion. If you are going to say that a group of people is deviant because of the way they choose to express their love and have sexual relationships, well, if straight people are doing it too, you really lose that argument. You lose the argument. And again, we have to remember that this is not the first time this has happened. There were times when we believed that interracial couples were not fit to raise children, should not be able to get married, that it was some kind of an abomination. Thank God that has changed, but not everywhere. There are still places where interracial couples are looked down upon and treated differently. I don't like to think about that, but I know it's true. And it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. Okay, how about this thought of recruitment? That gay people want everybody in the world to be gay like them. Well, I'm sorry. I'm here to tell you that's just not true. Because I have a lot of gay friends. And not once has anybody ever said, hey, you really need to come to a meeting. We need more members. Come on over to our side. Here's a pamphlet. We're having a meeting. I'll tell you who does try to recruit me. Churches. Get a knock on the door. Can we come in and pray with you, ma'am? Here, would you like to join our church? I have family members and friends. Why don't you come to church with me? You should really come to church. Churches recruit all the time. Gay people, not so much. The gay community is not holding out flyers in front of restaurants and saying, come to the meeting. It doesn't happen. So please, rest yourselves, straight people. We're not dying out. The straight community is not going to die out because gay people can get married. That gay people can be equal to married people everywhere. That's not going to happen. Nope. Come on, switch teams. It's cool over here. As far as children being raised in a gay family, first of all, statistics show that most children who are raised by two men or two women actually grow up to be straight. They marry a person of the opposite sex. They procreate. That's actually the norm. That is the statistic that I read. So that argument is kind of off the table as well. But I will say something on a personal note. I was raised by two women, my mother and my grandmother, and trust me, it wasn't fun. Okay? And I saw no male-female interaction in my personal family. I never saw my mother with a man, never walked into her bedroom and caught her with a dude, never saw her hold hands with a man, never saw a man kiss her. In fact, most of my childhood was spent around women. My aunts, my grandmother and my mother, and my female cousins. I never really saw a personal, on TV, yeah, but in my own house, I never saw male-female relationships. And yet, as an adult, I love guys. I always loved guys. I loved guys a little too much, in fact, when I was a younger woman. Not ashamed of it. So that theory that just because you are not raised with a male figure in your home, that doesn't necessarily mean you are going to gravitate toward being around women all the time or hate men. I was afraid of men as a child because my grandmother instilled that fear in me. She was afraid of men. She did not want me around my girlfriend's fathers if I went to their house. She was so terrified that something would happen. I don't know. She was like that. That's how I was raised. And apples falling from trees, well, I couldn't have fallen further. I am nothing like my mother. Sometimes some people tell me I'm a little bit more like my grandmother than I would like to admit, but she was a control freak. And I am a little bit like that. But my mother was very passive. She would never fight or stand up for herself, or she would always walk away from an argument. And I am completely the opposite of that. So if you want to go by me being raised by two women and my mother being so passive, she would do whatever she was told, even as an adult. She wouldn't stand up for herself. You look at me today and you know I am completely opposite. Okay? So even if you are concerned that gay people raising children, that the children are going to want to do what mommy and mommy do or daddy and daddy do, that's probably a little off the mark too. And so what? They're not committing a crime. They are not sick people. They are human beings who love. They have a heart. Now look, we all gravitate towards spending our lives with another person. We want to share the burden. We want to share the hardship of getting through this messy thing called life. We want to love and share our day with somebody. We want to share our beds with somebody. We want to share our bodies with somebody. It's human nature. It's not deviant. It's not abnormal. That is normal. And I don't believe that anybody else has the right, and especially our government doesn't have the right, or a church or anybody, to decide who that person we choose to spend our lives with and share that burden with and do that hard work with and cry with and laugh with and celebrate with and mourn with. I don't think anyone has the right to choose that person for us. I just don't. I was at a wedding. And somebody that I loved since the day he was born, we were talking, and he said, and he had come out to me. He wasn't out, but I knew. And he said, I'm never going to have that. This was a long time ago. He said, I'm never going to get married. I'll never be a dad. He said, do you think I would have chosen this? He said, I love who I am. I accept who I am. I am who I am. I can't change that. But I'll never have that. And he pointed to the bride and groom at the altar. And I cried with him. And when the Marriage Equality Act passed, he got married. He and his husband, his beautiful husband, who had been together for over a decade, they got married. And this beautiful boy who I taught to roller skate, who told me he would never have that, he's got it. And I am so proud to call him my cousin and so proud to know him. And that's why it hurts me and it breaks my heart when I read things calling him deviant or abnormal. He goes to church. He and his husband go to a church. They go to church knowing that one of these days the pastor's going to be talking about homosexuality as being a sin. But they go to church because they love their God. They love Jesus. They're more Christian. Their Christianity means more to them than the bigotry of the person standing at the pulpit preaching at them. Many gay people go to church knowing that the church they go to shits on their lifestyle, is appalled by their lifestyle, but they go anyway because they believe in God and they believe in Jesus. And so for all you people who never go to church, who haven't picked up a Bible in 25 years since Sunday school, and the only thing you can quote is Leviticus or the Adam and Eve crap, which makes us all incest victims, if that's all you know of your Bible, then you know nothing. You know nothing because you missed all the other parts. The parts about love, the parts about acceptance, about tolerance, of loving thy neighbor like thyself. And you definitely, every time you dig into a lobster tail, missed the part of Leviticus right after the part you love so much about that shellfish is an abomination to the Lord. And that everybody who eats shellfish is going to hell. Think about that the next time you order shrimp cocktail. I'm sorry, it's very personal. And people ask me all the time, you're not gay. Why do you fight so hard? And this is why I fight so hard, because I am a smoker. And this also interested me. That some of the comments made calling gay people deviant and they shouldn't be around children and they're abnormal and they're causing harm to children, that is the same argument that anti-smokers make when they say we're not allowed to smoke on a beach, we're not allowed to smoke legal cigarettes in a playground, anywhere children congregate, because children might see it and think it's cool. There you go. How can you fight against discrimination against smokers and yet use their argument, the anti-smoking argument, to try to stop loving gay people from raising children? Children, by the way, they adopt that nobody else wants to adopt. Many gay couples are raising children that are addicted to drugs because their mother was a drug abuser. They are raising HIV positive babies and children. They are taking the children that normal heterosexual people run from. Because normal heterosexual couples want children that look like them. They want normal children. They don't want to deal with health issues or prescription medication or doctor's appointments or ER visits. Gay couples do. Because all they want is to share their love, their hearts with a child. To give a child a chance. When everybody else, all the normal people, run as fast as they can, the gay people run right toward them. Of course we'll take that child. Gladly. We feel so blessed for this very sick child who is in our life. Think about that. And let's remember something else, what I say at the end of every show, and I'm going to say it again now. Love shows and grows. Love. So let's stop the hate. There is enough things in this world that we should really hate. But we should not hate anyone for whom they love or how they love. I'm getting emotional, so I better stop now, because I am thinking of all the beautiful people that I know and love very much. And I want to tell you, if you're watching, all of you, you know who you are, how much I love and respect you, and that you will always be my heart. Always. And I will stand with you and stand by you with every fight. And I do pray that this fight does not continue. But there will always be haters. There are going to be people who hate me because I smoke cigarettes. There'll always be hate. But I would like to think that the majority of us are about love in any form it takes. Political Paula, out.